If you clicked on this video, you already know that managing blood sugar isn't just about what you eat at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's also about the very first thing that enters your body in the morning. And for most of us, that thing is coffee. Today we're going to talk about 5 specific additions you can make to your daily cup that have genuine research-backed potential to improve your fasting glucose, blunt postprandial spikes, and support meaningful movement in your A1C over time. These are not gimmicks, these are not miracle cures, they are targeted nutritional compounds, and each one has a distinct mechanism of action in your body that is worth understanding. Now, I know that for many people watching this, managing diabetes feels like a constant negotiation. You check your numbers in the morning, and sometimes they're fine. Other mornings, you wake up having done everything right the night before, and you still see a number on that glucometer that makes no sense. You haven't eaten anything, you went to bed at a reasonable hour, you skipped dessert, and yet there it is, higher than it should be. That confusion is not a personal failure. It is a physiological reality that the standard conversation around diabetes management often fails to address with enough depth. And this video is going to go deeper than most. Here is something I want you to hold in the back of your mind as we go through the next several minutes. Coffee itself. Black, unmodified coffee has a well-documented paradox at its center. Large-scale epidemiological studies, including data from cohorts tracking hundreds of thousands of adults over decades, consistently show that regular coffee drinkers have a lower incidence of type 2 diabetes. The polyphenols in coffee, particularly chlorogenic acids, appear to reduce glucose absorption in the gut and improve insulin sensitivity through pathways involving the enzyme glucose 6-phosphatase. That is the protective side of the story. But here is the other side, and this is the part that rarely gets discussed in the typical diabetes management conversation. Caffeine, particularly when consumed on an empty stomach, triggers the release of epinephrine, what you likely know as adrenaline. Epinephrine is a stress hormone, and one of its primary biological functions is to signal the liver to release stored glucose through a process called glycogenolysis. Your liver responds to that signal dutifully. It doesn't know you're just having a quiet morning. It thinks you need energy fast, and it provides it. The result, for someone with impaired insulin sensitivity, can be a measurable spike in blood glucose caused entirely by your morning coffee before you've taken a single bite of food. I have reviewed the mechanisms behind this response in peer-reviewed literature extensively, and it is one of the most underappreciated contributors to unexplained morning hyperglycemia in people over 60. Now, the 5 additions I'm going to walk you through today are specifically chosen to counteract this mechanism, to buffer the caffeine response, and to support your metabolic stability across your entire morning, and in many cases, well into the afternoon. I've spent a significant amount of time synthesizing the clinical evidence on each of these, and I want you to walk away from this video not just with a list, but with a genuine understanding of why each one works. Before we dive in, if you're finding this useful, take 2 seconds right now, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video, and give this a thumbs up. It genuinely helps more people like you find this content. And drop a comment below. Tell me what country you're watching from. I'd love to know where our community is tuning in from, around the world. Hold on a second. Before we go any further, I've put something together for you. It's called the Glucose Paradox. It's a free guide on blood sugar and diabetes, and you can grab it for free through the link in the description. I'm telling you this now because I want you to finish this video with a concrete tool in your hands. To get it right away, just click the link in the description, head over to my site, and drop your email. You'll receive the guide in your inbox a few minutes later. But I don't want to take up any more of your time. Let's get back to the video. The first addition is Ceylon cinnamon, and I want to be precise here, because the distinction matters medically. There are 2 primary types of cinnamon available in most grocery stores. The first is cassia cinnamon, the kind you likely grew up with, the kind in most commercial cinnamon products, the kind that smells intensely familiar when you open the jar. The second is Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes labeled as true cinnamon, which originates from Sri Lanka and has a lighter, more delicate flavor profile. The critical difference between the two, from a clinical standpoint, is coumarin content. Cassia cinnamon contains significant levels of coumarin, a compound that in high doses has documented hepatotoxic effects, meaning it can stress the liver with chronic daily consumption. Cassia cinnamon contains only trace amounts of coumarin, making it safe for daily use over the long term. Now, why does this matter for blood sugar? Multiple randomized controlled trials have demonstrated that cinnamon compounds, particularly cinnamaldehyde and the A-type proanthocyanidins, improve insulin receptor sensitivity by activating insulin signaling pathways at the cellular level. In practical terms, this means your cells become more responsive to the insulin your pancreas is producing, which is fundamental to managing type 2 diabetes. Additionally, cinnamon slows gastric emptying, which means carbohydrates from any food you eat move more slowly through your digestive system, resulting in a more gradual glucose release into your bloodstream, rather than a sharp spike. The connection to your broader physiology is significant. Improved insulin sensitivity doesn't just affect your blood sugar, it directly reduces the inflammatory load on your cardiovascular system, your kidneys, and your peripheral nerves, the three organ systems most commonly damaged by chronic hyperglycemia. 1/4 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon stirred into your coffee each morning is a simple, low-cost, and clinically meaningful addition. The second addition is collagen protein powder. Now, at first, adding protein to your coffee might sound unusual, but the logic here is straightforward and important. Collagen protein is a pure carbohydrate-free protein source that dissolves cleanly into hot liquid without significantly altering the flavor of your coffee. When you consume protein alongside caffeine, you fundamentally change the rate at which your body processes the stimulant. The presence of amino acids, the building blocks of protein, slows gastric emptying and blunts the adrenal response to caffeine. In other words, the liver glucose release cascade we talked about earlier is attenuated when protein is present in the gut. The spike is softened, the curve flattens. Beyond the direct blood sugar implication, collagen protein provides glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline, amino acids that support the integrity of the gut lining, the elasticity of blood vessel walls, and the structural health of joints. For someone over 60 managing diabetes, joint health and vascular health are not peripheral concerns. They are central to mobility, circulation, and quality of life. A single serving of collagen, typically around 10 to 15 grams, stirred into your morning coffee, adds no meaningful flavor and contributes meaningfully to your metabolic buffering strategies for the morning ahead. The third addition is MCT oil. Medium-chain triglycerides are a class of saturated fat, derived most commonly from coconut oil, though the refined MCT oil you want for this purpose has been processed to concentrate the most metabolically active chains, primarily caprylic acid and capric acid, known as C8 and C10. Unlike long-chain fatty acids, which require bile acids for digestion and a lengthy transit through your lymphatic system, medium-chain triglycerides are absorbed directly through the gut wall and transported straight to the liver. There, they are rapidly converted into ketone bodies. Ketones are an alternative fuel source that your brain, heart, and muscle cells can utilize without requiring insulin. This is the key phrase, without requiring insulin. For someone whose cells have developed insulin resistance, ketones represent a metabolic bypass. They provide clean, sustained energy through a pathway that does not depend on the hormone that is no longer functioning efficiently. The practical result of adding 1 teaspoon of MCT oil to your morning coffee is a significant reduction in the mid-morning energy crash that many people with blood sugar dysregulation know all too well. That wall you hit around 10 or 11 in the morning, when concentration drops, fatigue sets in, and the craving for something sweet becomes difficult to ignore. MCT oil helps maintain a steady energy curve by providing cellular fuel through a non-insulin dependent route. It also supports cognitive function, a benefit that matters deeply for older adults, because ketones are readily used by the brain and have been studied in the context of neurological health and memory maintenance. The fourth addition is raw cacao powder, not hot cocoa mix, not sweetened cocoa, pure unsweetened cacao powder. The less processed, the better. The active compounds here are flavonols, particularly epicatechin, which has one of the most robust bodies of research behind it in the context of cardiometabolic health. Epicatechin improves endothelial function, meaning it enhances the ability of your blood vessels to dilate and contract properly, which is directly relevant to blood pressure and circulation. It also has been shown in clinical studies to improve insulin sensitivity by activating AMPK, an enzyme that acts as a master regulator of cellular energy metabolism. When AMPK is activated, glucose uptake in muscle cells increases, even in the absence of high insulin levels. This is meaningful for anyone dealing with insulin resistance. Additionally, cacao is one of the richest dietary sources of magnesium. This matters enormously for a diabetic population. Studies consistently show that a substantial percentage of people with type 2 diabetes are deficient in magnesium, and magnesium plays a direct enzymatic role in more than 300 metabolic reactions, including glucose regulation and insulin secretion from pancreatic beta cells. Low magnesium is associated with worsening insulin resistance and higher A1C values. Replenishing it through dietary sources is preferable to supplementation whenever possible, and a tablespoon of cacao powder in your morning coffee is a delicious and effective way to do that. The cardiovascular benefits compound the blood sugar benefits here, because the same vascular inflammation that damages your blood vessels also impairs glucose delivery to peripheral tissues. Cacao addresses both simultaneously. The fifth addition is nutmeg. This one surprises people. Nutmeg has a long history in traditional medicine, but modern research has begun to identify the specific compounds responsible for its metabolic effects. The most relevant are myristicin and mesalignin, both of which have demonstrated activity in improving glucose uptake by cells. Mesalignin in particular has been studied for its ability to enhance GLUT4 translocation, which is the technical term for the process by which glucose transport proteins move to the surface of muscle and fat cells to pull glucose out of the bloodstream. When GLUT4 translocation is enhanced, your cells become more efficient at clearing glucose from the blood, even when insulin signaling is impaired. Nutmeg also carries meaningful anti-inflammatory properties, which connects directly to the broader systemic picture of diabetes management. Chronic low-grade inflammation is now understood to be both a driver of and a consequence of insulin resistance, and it contributes to the accelerated progression of diabetic complications in the kidneys, eyes, and nervous system. Addressing inflammation is not a secondary concern, it is central to long-term metabolic health. A small pinch of nutmeg, we're talking about a fraction of a teaspoon, is enough to deliver these compounds without dramatically changing the flavor of your coffee. It adds a subtle warmth that many people actually enjoy. Now I want to bring these five together and explain why the combination matters as much as the individual components. When you drink coffee with Ceylon cinnamon, collagen protein, MCT oil, cacao powder, and a pinch of nutmeg, you are creating what you might call a metabolic buffer around your caffeine. The protein slows the caffeine's absorption and blunts the adrenal response. The MCT oil provides insulin-independent fuel to maintain energy stability. The cinnamon and nutmeg work at the cellular level to improve glucose uptake and insulin sensitivity. The cacao supports vascular health and replenishes magnesium. No single one of these is doing all the work. They are operating through distinct mechanisms that together create a synergistic effect on your metabolic response to the morning. If you want to start with a simpler combination, the three I would prioritize first are Ceylon cinnamon, collagen protein, and MCT oil. Those three together address the caffeine-cortisol liver pathway most directly and consistently. But I also want to be clear about something, because intellectual honesty matters. These additions are nutritional support tools. They are not pharmaceutical interventions. They will not replace your medication. They will not override a diet that is chronically high in refined carbohydrates and ultra-processed foods. What they will do, when practiced consistently as part of a broader commitment to metabolic health, is contribute measurably over weeks and months to improved fasting glucose, reduced postprandial spikes, and for many people, gradual improvement in A1C. The body responds to consistent signals. You cannot give it the right signal once and expect transformation, but when you give it the right signals day after day, morning after morning, the data, both in the clinical literature and in the lived experience of people who have committed to this approach, shows real change. Your liver, your pancreas, your cardiovascular system, your kidneys, your brain, they are all connected, A spike in blood sugar doesn't just stress your pancreatic beta cells, it triggers an inflammatory cascade that strains your arterial walls. It stresses your kidney's filtration system. It creates oxidative damage in your retinal vessels. It impairs the myelin sheath around your peripheral nerves. Everything is downstream of metabolic stability, and everything improves when you get it right. That is why a seemingly small decision, what you put in your coffee, is not a small decision at all. It is a daily vote for the version of yourself that moves well, thinks clearly, sleeps deeply, and has the energy to be present in your own life. Start tomorrow morning. Choose one addition if you're not sure where to begin. I'd suggest Ceylon cinnamon first, because it's inexpensive, readily available, and backed by some of the most consistent data in the field. Add the others as you find your rhythm. Pay attention to how you feel at 10 in the morning. Notice your fasting numbers over 2 or 3 weeks. Give your body the time it needs to respond, and trust the biology. And hey, if you made it all the way here, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Hit the like button to let me know this was worth your time, and leave a comment below. Tell me what country you're watching from. Seriously, I read every single one, and it means a lot to see how far this community reaches. You know what the problem is with diabetes and high blood sugar? Most people find out way too late, and by the time they do, they have no idea where to even start. That's why I decided to create a free guide. It's called The Glucose Paradox, and inside, you'll find everything you wish you'd known sooner. I'll explain how blood sugar actually works, and why your body sometimes reacts the exact opposite way you'd expect. That's why it's called a paradox. I've also included concrete habits you can start changing right now, even if you know zero about nutrition or medicine. It's free. You can download it in a second, and it might be the single most useful thing you do for your health today. Just click the link in the description to head to the site, drop your email, and get the guide sent straight to you. Don't put this off.